Well, if you're catching us here on the replay of the Car Guy and SixFan show, this is just a 15, 20-second lead in. Let some ads play. Otherwise, if you found us here live Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central, that means you are tuning in to the Car Guy and SixFan show. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Grant Tommy. Tonight, I am SixFan of this operation, but that means this other gentleman over here is.
I'm Jason. I am the car guy, or old car guy of the show tonight. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for jumping in here. We're going to take a quick look over in the chat. I know it's jam-packed full of people. Before we introduce our guest, there's like 26 people in here, guys. One of the things we always prided ourselves on was being able to go through the chat and yell off everybody's name. And we're getting to the point where we can't do it. There's just so many of you here. So thank you, everyone, for jumping in there. Let's go down and introduce our guests, Sean and Alex from Daily Driven Death Traps. Guys, why don't you say a little bit about yourself and introduce?
You go first.
All right. Well, I am Sean, and I guess I'm part of our little co-team here, and I do mostly the building ideas, and kind of the goofy, crazy stuff on the channel to build the cars. So then.
I'm Alex, and I am behind the camera and behind the computer editing it all. And I have some of my own builds, and Sean usually comes up with the ideas and makes me buy some things. But
I'm always the peer pressure.
He is the peer pressure.
Well, behind every successful channel is a great amount of peer pressure, I think.
There you go. Do a burnout.
Well, we did just get our first super chat, and so I want to take just a minute before we get into our questions to remind everybody that when I'm hosting the Car Guy and SixFan show, what is up for grabs? We appreciate the super chats here, and Jason and I were talking in the off season. We feel kind of guilty just getting free wheel money from people, so we wanted to help pay you guys back in some way, shape, or form. So every dollar that's donated via super chat gets you one entry into prize pack giveaway. For me, is sponsored by Killmat, so you get two 36 square foot 80 mil install kits and an installation roller. We'll do a drawing, I think it's April 22nd, Jason?
I believe so, yep.
All right, well, with that, you want to take us away with the first question?
Absolutely. So the very first thing that I came across when I was watching one of your first videos, or one of the first videos that I saw, was the introduction and the cinematography that goes along with what you guys do, and it totally impressed me. And I believe this question is likely for Alex. So Alex, why don't you tell me a little bit about what got you into recording, not just for YouTube, but what got you into cinematography or videography and all those neat tricks that you do?
Well, basically it kind of all started when the channel started. I had a GoPro, I had a Hero 7, and Sean bought a Hero 8 because we knew we needed two cameras to do some things like time lapse while we're doing something and having just another one. And I mean, GoPros are okay, but they really kind of suck.
They're awful. Despise GoPros.
Yeah, but and I was using Final Cut Pro X. I bought a computer from this dude off Facebook, an iMac, 2011. It still works okay, but I'm going to need to upgrade very soon.
I kind of pushed you, like, for that first video. I was like, dude, I know you're going to do a fantastic job. You just got to put your mind to it and, just go with the finished product.
The first video was shot in a 4:3, not a 16:9, because I didn't even know what the aspect ratio was. And then it just kind of progressed from there, and I just watched a whole bunch of videos on YouTube on how to get better. And I mean, now we're here, and I'm still learning, and I like to learn. Taking video of Sean doing crazy crap is pretty fun, too.
Well, that's the thing about your first videos, right? And that's what we always try to encourage people and tell them, like, if they're on the fence about starting, it's like, no, trust me, your first ones are gonna be your worst video. Like, if they're gonna be your best videos, then you're doing it all wrong. Like, if you're only gonna get worse as you move on, so totally can relate to that. In fact, I always direct people to my first video that was like using a webcam and a tablet, and I was super dorky and awkward. So, but with that, the cool builds, obviously is the other part of the equation. And so Sean, and what I appreciate about your guys' channel is just it's a great mix, eclectic mix of American Iron. You know, it's not super brand heavy. There's a Belvedere involved. There's a Fummins, which I know what that means. But why don't you explain to the crowd what a Fummins might be if they haven't heard that term before?
Well, a Fummins actually is basically, you know, put two words put together. It's a Ford Cummins. So what we did was it was a 79 Ford truck. The first truck I actually learned how to drive a manual on, and it was a you know, a 360 360 big block Ford, and it was tired. Its valve seals were nasty. It was bad. And so, you know, I had this 12 valve Cummins I was going to put in a 46 Ford for the longest time. And I was just pondering on it. And I said to Alex, I said, you know what would be a fantastic first series on the channel? I said, we should grab that Cummins and throw it in that truck, you know, and make ourselves a Fummins, because, you know, I feel like it's going to be in a very informative series and a very like exciting series per se. So there you go.
Again, well, that's pretty good. I mean, we've seen a few of those on YouTube before, but it's always nice to see them done on maybe something older. We've seen them on some new things. You guys just recently did a video where you were kind of trekking through the snow and come across a bullet nose Studebaker.
Absolutely.
And I could not help but think of all the possibilities in rat rodding and customization that a fella could do with one of those things. I've watched the video, but maybe you could tell the viewers a little bit, like, what were you doing out in the snow, and how did you come across this Studebaker?
This is actually a kind of hilarious story. So I've got an acre of land in a rural county in Iowa, and I have a little ravine right behind our house. And there was like a creek bed. And I'm like, you know, we're pretty close to the river. We're probably like 2 miles, which ain't close at all. And it was devilishly cold those past couple of weeks. And this is like the first normal day. And I tell Alex, I come inside, literally just out of the blue. I get done work on the house. I say, hey, we should go hike to the river. So we're just kind of deciding, you know, let's go hike to the river. So he grabs his camera stuff, not expecting anything. He doesn't even know where we're going. He thought we were going to hop in a car and go to a state park. But I have my muck boots on and everything. He's like, looks down at me. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, we're going to the river. We're walking to it. And so we're walking down this creek bed. And I look up, and there's this grain bin. It's just like in the middle of the trees. I'm like, well, that's kind of odd. And then that's when we're kind of, what are we doing here, man? Like, we're not going to make it to the river. There's no way. So we're just living for the moment. And next thing you know, we come around this bend. I look up there, and I'm like, wow, there's some cars up there. This is pretty cool. And then, like, you know, I get pretty excited when I see just old junk laying around. That's just who I am. And I go up there and I say, dude, we got to go check that out. And then, of course, he had the camera stuff, which is, you know, why he's here. But and so it was just kind of a fun experience. I mean, just out of the blue.
Yeah, it was like 5 o'clock, maybe 4:30.
Oh yeah, it was getting dark. It was getting cold by the second. I had a whole pool of water in my boot by the time we got back.
You literally poured it out in the bathtub.
Yep, I poured it out in the bathtub.
So yeah, I guess lesson to beware. You know, all the viewers out there is like, that's why you don't leave the house without the camera gear. Is for you know, like,
Yeah,
exactly.
I started taking it everywhere. I have a backpack that has slots for all my gear. Take it to school.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I mean, I fall into the habit. I was kind of looking at the chat, and there was a big discussion, you know, Team GoPro, Pro GoPro, and I always struggle with the action cam side of things too. But you almost have to have both as an automotive creator.
Yeah,
you really do.
No,
yeah.
I agree with them. I mean, GoPros are fantastic cameras, but they're we battle battery life so bad. And we battle accidentally hitting the mode button, and it goes to some other thing. I'm not good with computers, not good with anything with a screen. And I hit something, and next thing you know, I'm taking a photo of myself. And then we were 10 minutes into taking a video. And I'm just like, what? Really? You can never have enough of batteries either.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, and low light situations, they suffer. I've got the DJI version, and same thing, like, I can't ever figure out from the screen, if I'm not using the mobile app, like, just to switch between modes, is like, it shouldn't be this hard to switch between
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I shoot with my DSLR quite a bit. But then, when you're working on something under the car and it's a tight spot, you really can't get that shot with a DSLR.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that's why you have to have both. But I guess, Alex, talk about when you guys decide to make the switch. I know you shoot with a mirrorless camera, a Canon M50. Like, what drove you to that? What was like that fall in love moment, or is it depth of field? Is it what is it about that you're like, no, we need to make this switch?
I had an A7 II, which is the Sony A7 II, and you all know the A7 III. If you like cameras, you know the A7 III. And I didn't have enough money for that, so I just sold it to a guy and gave me $1,000. And I went right into Best Buy. I sold it in the Best Buy parking lot, and I went right into Best Buy and I bought the DJI Mavic Mini, and I also bought the Canon M50. And I did some research, and it records 4K, but in a crop. And I don't really even know if I'd record 4K because it's just such big files and stuff. And so 1080p it is. And it records great. I mean, like if you have the skill and the mindset and your correct shots and stuff, you can make anything look good with basically any camera that has 1080p and a high frame rate doing 60 frames per second to slow it down if you want to. Yeah, I guess I kind of lost the question. What was?
Why'd you get the camera?
Well, that's why.
Yeah. So I guess we jumped right head first into this interview, and before we even had a chance to talk about exactly what the channel is about. So for those who are just tuning in, we've got daily driven death traps here, and they've got some pretty awesome content over on their channel. I'll post a link in the chat. You guys go check them out, and I'm going to let them tell you exactly what their channel is all about, because you're going to want to go see it. So why don't you tell the fellows in the chat what daily driven death traps, what it is?
You do it.
Okay. All right. So basically, it's kind of a menagerie of experiences we go through, the cars it's all about cars. It's fully automotive, but like the experiences we go through on the daily, like our last video, our builds we do, our, racing, just all the things that happen in our lives and that, I think would be interesting to document, or he thinks would be interesting.
I mean, even sometimes just videography, like we have some 1-minute clips of just the stuff I do with music.
Absolutely. And basically it all started out with like a plan of, we're just going to document a couple car builds because I feel like I want to inspire some kids younger than me to go out and build something you want to build, because, you get out there and use your hands. And it kind of escalated to, I'm just going to go buy this Crown Vic, cut it apart and build it on the channel because I want to, It's just all about kind of those split-second decisions on, what we're going to do, what kind of dumb thing we're going to go and build, or are we going to go get caught by cops racing? Yeah, probably. Who knows? But just, bringing people along with our insane adventures in our lives, that portion of our lives.
And to
inspire. Mostly, that's what my goal is.
Because getting arrested is good content.
That's good content.
Don't inspire to get arrested.
Saturday. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Nothing says inspiration better than an arrest. So that's
yeah. It's kind of like it's a lesson to be told. I'm here to inspire you to build the car, not to race the car.
The what not to do is just
exactly
sometimes. No, but you talked about the Crown Vic, and that was my gateway drug. We have with the CarrGuy and SixFan show, we actually probably bring a pretty strong Crown Vic crowd to the most shows, and that was probably my gateway drug, was the Creamer run, the kind of cinematic, just like, hey, it was the Crown Vic that was body swapped with a Ford unibody truck, which is a pretty popular one. But lessons learned on that build. What would you guys do differently if you had to do it over again on the body swap, Crown Vic body swap project?
Well, I'd like more help from Alex, but honestly, to have a lot more sheet metal laying around, that's not scrap metal, if that makes sense. So when I was building this truck, or when we were building it, it kind of just, it was a spur of the moment decision. And I was like, I want to get this done in a month. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I didn't have barely any metal laying around. And like, I needed patch panels for like the cab. And I go out to our, what we call the metal pile, and I just have to go and grab this barrel and basically cut this big long streak of the barrel out and make it the cowl close off. I have no other options at that point.
Wasn't there a wheelbarrow too?
There's a wheelbarrow too that lost its life to that truck. But that's kind of, I wish I was more prepared, I should say. I have a really bad habit of, diving like head first into things and not really, putting full thought into like, here's what I'm going to need when I need it. But all in all, actually, the truck turned out leaps and bounds better than I ever expected. Like, I thought it was going to look like a complete turd just because, that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
But it turned out like so much better. The welding it solid, I felt, was actually a very good idea in the end, just because it's a unibody. And people are going to throw hate because it's not body mounted, and you'll never be able to do that. But that's, again, like I said in the video, that's not their problem at all. That's my problem in the long run. So,
well, and then you have 500,000 people liking a video of your truck and thousands of comments saying how freaking badass it is.
Yeah, and that was on TikTok, and that's one of those things like, what do I say? Like, it's a neat truck. I mean, I didn't expect it. I mean, people love the headlights. And I was just throwing those on because I've always wanted a truck with color changing headlights. I didn't think they're gonna be popular at all. I thought everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, that's a Euro weird junk thing." You never know.
So I want to go back to the wheelbarrow comment there just for a second, because our buddy Revstoration is in the chat, and one of the things that he always coins in at least one of his videos every time is this: if you don't have the tools you need, you use the tools you have. So, if you just happen to have a wheelbarrow laying around, that's the tool you have.
Yep, that's what we have laying around.
So let's dive in a little bit and talk about the actual the whole YouTube side of what it is you guys are doing. Congratulations! You just recently hit 1,000 subscribers, and what an occasion that is. Grant and I have been there. And I can remember that week of just, something as simple to most people, but to us, it's so huge. So tell us a little bit about your journey to the 1,000 subscribers and how you're feeling right now about being there.
That's a big learning process.
Yeah,
sure.
It's really something that just like you look at something, you're like, wow, this video is going to be seriously cool. It's going to get a lot of views. And then all of a sudden you have a random trike on your channel doing better than any other video on your channel. You're just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we did not expect that trike video to be our best video.
It's been like a huge learning curve and a huge it's just been a lot to take in.
Yeah, and it's, some parts are like down too. Like, you think this video is going to do great, but it doesn't.
Just dies.
And then you're just like, what the heck, man?
I mean, our biggest thing was like getting at like social media. When we tried out TikTok, like we just stated with the Creamer Run, or the Univic was what we call it. I never expected it to take off. I mean, I mentioned it to Alex, I know way back in time, but I didn't want to put any more on his plate. And I said, well, maybe we should make a TikTok. Maybe it would be something. And that was a ticket to get us from 600 subscribers all the way to 900 in a weekend.
I think we were at 300 or something like that.
Well, we were low.
I don't know.
And that's what brought us a lot of our subs, is that one, 1,000 viewed deal. And that's kind of what blew my mind.
500,000.
That could have been where I found you guys as well. Was that maybe I saw it on TikTok first and was like, okay, I got to check it out.
There we go. See, TikTok.
Yeah, we need to post more on there. I've been busy with school, so
yeah, that's been another battle. Is I'm a very, very, very busy person, and he's very, very busy too. And to find the time to, we usually put aside Sundays or Saturdays on their own to film, and finding the time and to do it is it sounds dumb for a 20-minute video, but it
is very time consuming.
It is,
especially editing too. Just record the whole day and then edit throughout the week to have something on the weekend.
And then pushing out the product. Like, everybody wants to see a finished product. And for me, it's like, I got to get out there, get away from my housing projects, get away from my full-time job, and go and get some work done on these things. It's just like, it kind of gets to the point, do I really want to go work today, or do I want to just mellow out? Well, I never mellow out. I'm always working, so it's whatever.
It's always the latter. Yeah, no, I mean, Jason, I can relate to when you're a one-man show, though, too. It's it's frustrating because you're like, do I just do the work and get done what I want to get done on the car today, and the camera shots suffer for it, or do I take the hour and a half task turns into the 3-hour task because you're constantly repositioning yourself? And
here's an update for you. Yeah.
That's
been we are really fortunate to have the dynamic we have, because I can go out there and work on it. I'll go out, we just got our new project car. I don't know if we've told anybody what it is.
You'll see this.
Soon. Well, we're just gonna say it's a 60s Chevrolet muscle car, late 60s, and we just got this vehicle, and it's a 4-speed small block car, and we got it as a project car, and I pushed myself. We didn't get very much video of it, but I pushed myself, and we got more done on this. I almost said it. We got more done on this muscle car than we got done on basically any car all winter in one weekend.
Well, I mean, when it's been below zero, for most,
I can't find motivation when we're -40 here in Iowa.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Alex, I wanted to go back to the trike video, the one that it's this anomaly, and it's well, we threw it up there, but this isn't really what we want our channel to be about. But when you try to dissect it, when you try to look back and figure out why it did blow up, I mean, it sounds like to me it's because it's so unique because of what it is, and I think you guys titled it really well. But Jason and I have been in the off season. We were talking about just wild build ideas, and it's well, if you're doing the same thing everybody else is on YouTube, you're just gonna get lost in the shuffle. How would you, looking back, how would you dissect what you think made the trike video such a huge hit?
That it was just completely out of nowhere. Let's say
it made no sense, but it worked perfect.
Yeah.
That's and the funniest part is most of the views are from aren't they from out of this country?
I don't know.
I don't know. We haven't looked at the analytics of that for it just it turned into a black sheep of the channel. It's just it's there, it's doing really good, but we don't do anything with it because my dad burned the clutch up on it. So, what's the use?
Yeah, we'll have to definitely work on it this summer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just is the most, not even the focus of things that tend to roll on. I always talk about my 04 Grand Marquis. I just happened to want to buy one time, and I said, I'll bring the camera. And look, some of those videos are some of the biggest videos on my channel. Not even planning on making that happen. But anyways, before we go too much further in the show, guys, we are approximately halfway, maybe a little over halfway. We want to open up the chat to questions for Sean and Alex, because we want to know what you guys are thinking, and we want these guys to help answer some of your questions. So start putting your questions in the chat. And I did see Uncle Tony actually pop up in there. Thanks for jumping in there and joining us on the show tonight. So I've got one more question for you, and it's kind of leading towards a little bit of, again, we're talking about YouTube and some of that stuff. There's a lot of guys in the chat who are other YouTube channels, and I encourage everybody to go check out each other's channels, because that's how we are going to grow. There's you might go over and you might see something you like, you might see something you don't, who knows, but you won't know until you try it. What is the one thing that you guys can lay claim to that you could say was what made the success of the channel?
Just keep going, no matter what. I mean, if
Oh,
you
absolutely.
feel down in the dumps, you just got to keep going. I mean, you sometimes just want to quit. And
Dude, there's days that I will literally walk in the house cussing and anger because I'm just like, this is just stupid. I'm spending too much money. I'm taking too much time. I'm doing, Alex can definitely, attest to this. I complain so much about it, but you got to, like I say, I go both ways. I say respect the process because everything has a process. But then again, I get frustrated. But all in all, you do have to respect the process, take your time, and push out quality stuff.
Well, as Jason mentioned, yes, Uncle Tony's Garage is in the chat, and he was, of course, last week's guest here on the CarrGuy and SixFan show, and he fell in love with your name, Daily Driven Death Traps. Once we announced you guys were coming up next, he just kind of burst out laughing. He's like, "Man, I love that." So I think that just folds right into Dan's Garage, and C asks, "What was the first daily death trap?" And I'm guessing we have two answers since there's two of you. You both probably had a first daily driven death trap.
Is that like first car or?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
if it's, I'll just do
First
I'll do my
project.
first build, my first car. So my first car, okay, it was a 1979 Ford LTD 4-door with a white vinyl top. Okay, now that's pretty sweet. No, it's not, but it gets better because when I was young, I was like, oh, it'd be really cool.
Subscribe.
If I put a hood scoop on it. So I went to our local swap meet, my dad and we went and bought a hood scoop I just saw laying on the ground. It was like a 4-inch cowl hood scoop. And then we put that on there, re-riveted it on there. Then we didn't cut a hole in the hood. It wasn't functional by any means. And then my dad goes ahead when I'm at school one day and paints my name on the side, Sean, on the door. And then it gets better than that. He painted Boss 302 on the fenders and white racing stripes, double white racing stripes down the car. Okay, so that's not even it. Like the rear bumper was so rusted out, it basically fell off when I started like driving it. So what we did to replace it, we had some bridge beams on in the yard. So these are like sea iron. I'm not kidding, 1/4 inch thick. My dad goes out there with his cutting torch, cuts a piece of bridge iron up, and we mount it basically as a back bumper. What happens 2 weeks later? A girl rear ends me and tolls her car. The LTD was completely fine. But I guess that was my first car. My first death trap was a 1982 Mercury Capri with a 347 that decided to never run because it kicked my butt. I drove it once, went sideways, and I got scared, and then that was it.
All right, I guess it's on to me. My first car was a 1998 Dodge Stratus, and I got caught going 97 in a 65. And that was when I was 16.
They'll do 97? I'm sorry.
Right? I know.
Kudos to you for making it go 97.
Yeah, I pushed it to 97.
Hey, that LTD won 120. And I was scraping pipes.
And then I guess my first death trap was 2000. I think it was 2013 Ford Focus ST.
Yeah.
And he talked me into it because he's the one that got me into cars, and he had a Mustang, an S550 Mustang GT when we were both working at the Fairway grocery store here in Boone. And that really inspired me to start working my ass off and trying to get into cars and stuff. So
yeah,
my first car or my first vehicle was a 95 Ford F-150, and I got a 90 and a 65 so pretty good one, especially at with high school wages. Thank goodness the fuel cut out at 95, because then the sheriff only got me at 90 because I actually the fuel shut off and it slowed down enough that I only got 90. So I get that. Jason, I didn't see a whole lot of other questions roll through unless you caught one, but I figured we'd just kind of roll into more tips and tricks talk.
Yeah, I think so. I was looking through. I kept scrolling back, and nobody's got any specific questions for you guys. But I still think that the 97 in a Dodge Stratus was was a thing. So I guess we know what you guys are kind of all about now, and maybe you've got a tip or a trick to share with some of these other YouTube channels who are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. That may help them get to where they're going.
Well, I guess like we said before, just don't quit, but bust out quality stuff. Like, don't just rush it and make something crap.
If you're a car YouTube channel, if you feel like on that day, if you feel like going outside and roasting some tires on your truck and you have somewhere to do it, just go do it and make sure you videotape it, because you never know. That could be your video that makes you to not just 1,000 subs. That could be your 10,000 subscriber. Go blow that tire. Go blow that rear quarter panel up. Hey, if it gets you there, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
I guess we do have a question coming in from Motorworks Mafia asking you guys how many days filming for each of your videos.
Ooh.
That's kind of it kind of depends on the video. The wagon videos that we've been doing recently on that have been kind of a spread of many days. But then
I guess like one video would be like one Saturday and one Sunday, and we usually have enough footage to make like a 20-minute video and have part series.
Yeah. Yep. Early on, it was basically like it was one day would be one video, because I think that's all we had time for, and that's all you wanted to put on your shoulders.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like,
weekends.
Yeah.
We did have a super chat coming in there from Narcoleptic Customs. I think I got that right on the first try for once. Thanks for jumping in there with that $5 super chat. He also asks, do you have any events planned for 2021 that you want to attend?
We have our usual events that we go to.
Yeah, I always go to one called Vintage Torque Fest over in Dubuque, Iowa. That's right in the first weekend of May. I'll be bringing my unibody, the Crown Vic swap unibody, just because that's my hottest rod right now. And then we might take my 47 two-door sedan Chevy if I can get a new engine in it by that point. What else? Usually go to Good Guys. Mm-hmm. Good Guys in Des Moines. I got the shirt on right now.
What's Kansas City? What's that?
Streetcar Takeover down in KC.
A lot of it was ruined because 2020.
Yeah, 2020 kind of really sucked for us, because that was kind of a hard time to start a channel, but
And then we also have our own meets, cruise to Blank Children's Hospital.
Yep, and we then we're also putting on like a little Barbie car race down a local ski hill this year.
Yeah, have you guys heard of
Barbie car races? Like, go down hills.
Oh yeah, like Grind Hard Plumbing Co. and like all those guys, those go-kart guys make them
the hillbilly style.
Yeah.
Look
it up.
We'll be doing something like that. We also have like our little events we do, just spur of the moment, little cars and coffees, But we're pretty. Those are our big shows. Those basically Vintage Torque Fest, Good Guys, and Cruise the Woods in October.
Yep.
We did get another question come in, but I kind of wanted to piggyback on some of the things you said there before we flashed the question up. And that might be the last question we take from the crowd, just so we can kind of start tying a bow on it and close out the show. But so I'm in the KC area, and there's another channel that co-sponsoring the Solo B-Roll Challenge 2021, Craving Cars. He's all about events, so if you guys are ever down this way, we'll definitely have to hook up. But that Vintage Iron Fest over in Dubuque, and you were talking about the Crown Vic body swap, that just reminded me of our end of season 3 guest was River City, Matt from River City. He's another Iowa guy. With you guys ever met up with Matt?
Have not. We shouted him out on a comment, or like in the video on the Creamer Run. I shouted him out. I'd really like to meet the guy, and I'd really like to put my Vic next to his, or the unibodies next to each other, because I think it'd be a very good comparison of. I kept the Vic Dash just because I wanted simple AC, fast, easy, and he kept we did our builds very differently. That's why I want to put them against each other. I want to see how they handle. I want to see all that, but I don't know how adamant he is about it. I don't know how adamant he is about YouTube in general. I mean, I'd love to do a video with him, but we haven't had anybody reach out. So,
yeah. And so our last question that we're going to take is from Half Fast Garage. And he's saying, what editor do you guys use for your videos?
I started out with Final Cut Pro X, and then I made my way to Premiere Pro.
And Premiere Pro seems to be kind of a go-to for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I guess we're getting ready to close out the show. And one of the things that we usually like to do is we like to find out some of the updates on some things coming on your channel. So Alex, Sean, why don't you give us a little teaser of what to expect in an upcoming video?
Well, we basically told you already with that Chevy.
yeah. Well, we got a lot of things. I'll just give you a little baseline of the season. How about that? If that is good or not. Well, there's going to be a mid-engine vehicle put together on the channel that will compete with. We don't have a person involved. I'm going to call someone out with a C8 Corvette, and we're going to put 2 and 2 together, and we're going to see which one's better. You haven't seen it on the channel yet. It's kind of one of my quiet cars. We're just going to say it has a flat 6 in the back right now. That's the teaser for that. Then for the muscle car, all I'm saying, it's a very sought after muscle car. I mean, it's got a 4-speed. It's a 68 vintage car. You'll see that very soon.
We have my Camaro and the 47.
We got a Camaro, his Camaro. We're going to be building up with the engine that's in the 47, hopefully with a turbo. Yes. And then we'll be putting just a standard. We'll be putting a different engine in my 47 Chevy, and basically, other than that, we'll be finishing up some
the wagon,
my Achilles heel right now. But be doing that, and what else?
For people that don't know our channel, it's a Coyote 50 wagon.
Yeah, we're putting a Coyote, 2011 Coyote, and a 1961 Ford wagon, country sedan. Yep.
Scoot.
It's gonna move, but I just gotta. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on it, like really like technical work that's not fun to watch. So it's been kind of
on the back burner.
So, and we got this muscle car, and I just took over on
put together in a night.
Yeah.
So Grant, can you kind of fill us in on maybe something that's coming up on Straight SixFan in the upcoming video?
Yeah, so I thought we would be taking the Fairmont to the local exhaust shop, but the guy is a little booked up, so I think I'm going to be paying heed to a lot of the suggestions in the comments on the transmission. We're just going to be working with the electric choke on the Holy Carb and trying to figure out this transmission issue. It sounds like there's good potential. It's another simple way out. But Jason, how about yourself over on Old CarrGuy?
Well, as you guys know, I've got a used car dealership, and tomorrow I'm going to tell you how I'm going to sell more cars in 2021 because 2020 sucked, as we already mentioned earlier in the comments. But so tomorrow's video is coming up, and that's what's going to happen. And this is a great segue to upcoming videos to the Solo B-Roll Challenge 2021. The deadline is on March the 7th, which is this Sunday, guys, at midnight. And we do know that Daily Driven Death Traps has an entry that they're getting ready to upload. So if you've got yours and it's ready, make sure it's uploaded before midnight on the 7th, because that will kind of time stamp your upload, make sure that everything is good and ready to roll. And then we'll probably have a week or so to go through them and make sure that we can find a winner. We're looking forward to seeing everyone's Solo B-Roll Challenge. And we've seen a bunch of them come up so far. I think there's at least a dozen, isn't there, Grant, that's been uploaded so far that we've kind of had a chance to take a look at?
Yeah, seems like I think it was 9 a couple days ago, but yeah, probably about a dozen, I would think.
Yep. So we'll make sure that the rules for the Solo B-Roll Challenge are in the comment or in the description down below. So if you guys are wanting to do that, you still have a few days left to get that done, and we hope to see that. So that's going to do it for this show, I think, isn't it, Grant? We're pretty well got things tidied up here.
Yeah, pretty much, other than just throwing it to Alex and Sean one more time, just to saying thanks for spending some of your Thursday night with us. We know that your time is you're busy guys, so we really appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Well, hey, thanks for having us. I definitely enjoyed,
it was a good talk.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, there's never a wrong time or a bad time when you get to sit around with a bunch of car guys talking about cars, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's going to conclude this week's show, guys. We appreciate everybody in the chat. We appreciate all the super chats. There's one still showing there from Coastal Auto Reaction. Big Easy gave us a good one there. And, Big Easy is kind of the biggest promoter of community, not competition. It's kind of what we're doing tonight, is highlighting the smaller channels as well as some of the bigger channels in hopes that, we can do a little bit to help promote you guys, as well as some of the guys who are in the chat. So I hope being on the show tonight helps you out a little bit. If you gain a few subscribers here or there, that's awesome. If you don't gain any from being on the show, well, you guys are still doing a great job, and we really appreciate all the hard work that you're putting into your channel. Having said all that, next week we are back on my channel for the CarrGuy and SixFan show for a legacy episode where it's just Grant and I, and we're talking car nicknames from the past. So it's going to be a pretty fun episode there. Hope you guys can tune into that. We're going to end this video. Hopefully Grant doesn't cut me off this time by saying, focus on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. Love you guys. We'll see you in the next one.